So I just watched Inside Edition, and yeah, I guess they were celebrating the birthday of this young woman who just recently got married, and the people on board were all of her sisters and their husbands and friends and their husbands, and like I said, every last person on board was killed. There's an expert on limos, and know what he said? Apparently these stretch limos don't exist. Like in real life, they take a car and they split the car in half. That's how they make a stretch limo, and then they put an in-between thing. And this expert on limos was on there, and he said one of the most important things is to not go fast, because you have all this extra weight. You have these extra, there's an extra, you know, there was 17 people, and you have all that extra weight, and oh my God, it's another thing I've warned my mom and me about. You can't leave anything over here on the coffee table, on the end table. We don't have coffee tables anymore. Not after my mom years ago fell into it and broke it, and I'd rather just have no coffee table. We don't need a coffee table. Anyway, so you're not supposed to go fast. The expert says you shouldn't go more, and again, the thing failed inspection last month. It was on the road. You're not supposed to go more than 40 miles an hour. They already know the guy was clocked. The guy that went sailing through the stop sign was going 60 miles an hour. And here's something. The one whose birthday it was, remember, they're all dead, so they were all friends, they all knew each other, they were sisters, all four sisters. Like I said, the mom, she was the one was like, all four of my nieces are dead, and all the little kids of they all are orphans now. Again, criminal charges, not just being sued, not just being shut down. The motherfucking owner of this fucking prestige limo there needs to be criminal charges against this person. Because they apparently, like I said, oh, and it is the worst accident of this type involving that in nearly a decade in the United States, not just in the whole United States. It's the worst tragedy, disaster like that. The woman whose birthday it was, apparently she had some kind of premonition, something bad was going to happen. She texted a friend in the outside world, not in the limo, saying, I have a really bad feeling about this. The engine is so loud we can't even hear ourselves think. That's again, like I said in the other video, neither limo nor limo driver should have been on the road. The limo failed inspection last month. This company, over the past couple of years, have had 4 vehicles taken out of service during routine inspections, and that's 4 times the national average, according to what my news said. Oh, I'm just so disgusted. And the expert on Inside Edition said speed is usually the biggest factor. They're looking into whether this limo had seat belts. You're supposed to have a seat belt for every seat. But he said the biggest factor is speed. You shouldn't go more than 40 miles an hour when you're carrying it's like stretch limos are huge, you know what I mean? He was going 60 miles an hour when he still went through that stop sign. But she had apparently texted an outside world friend, I have feelings something bad's going to happen. I'm sure she didn't think she was going to die, and everyone on board was going to die because the engine was so fucking loud. I've never been in a stretch limo, but it makes sense to me. You shouldn't go very fast, you know? Because the expert says you shouldn't go very fast. You can't control the thing. Plus you add to it, it says it failed inspection last month. Here's something interesting inside Edition said. Apparently, the owner of this limo company has been involved in a couple times in undercover investigations regarding FBI or something. Like, whatever. Go to jail. Do me a favor, just go to jail. I'm sickened by this. Sickened. Here's another example where you're just having this great old time, laughing and joking and probably drinking and all this crap. 1 minute, and the next you're fucking dead. The next you're in a horror movie. It showed a reenactment with dummies of what would happen, you know, if they're not wearing seatbelts, they'd be flying all over the place inside, and because again, 60 miles an hour, that's fast. All dead. I don't know if they all died instantly either. You kind of hope they did, you know, that it was over like that for them. Since they're all dead anyway, they might as well die instantly, right? And the ones who had kids, the kids are now orphans, and it's just horrific. A police chief or something, he's been on the force 44 years, he said that he's never seen anything like it. They're saying even hardened, whatever, just being really just shocked by this fucking shit. And then you find out, at least when a tragedy like this happens and it's, you know, a medical emergency, someone has a medical emergency, you can say, okay, well, that's just too bad, it's bad luck. But if you find out it was simply mechanical error, or just this guy was going way too fast combined with mechanical error, the expert was saying, you know, you can't stop it. When you have so much extra weight on board, that's why he's supposed to have apparently a special license to even be driving it, because it's viewed as a bus. When it's modified like that, it's viewed as a bus when it's carrying that many people. No, this is yet another example in this life where it's all about money, and companies just want to, you know, and again, there's lots of companies that might cut corners or whatnot, but it doesn't even remotely have any chance whatsoever of causing people to die, you know what I mean, hurting people. I gave you an example of they did an investigation on the airline where the person who was overnight, it was supposed to be inspecting the airplane to make sure it was safe for all the passengers thousands of passengers to be flying on it the next day or whatnot, was sleeping on the job instead of inspecting the airplane, okay? But in that instance, he's a fucking asshole, but it's not his company, you know what I mean? But this is the owner of the limo, cutting corners, and it takes a tragedy like this, and now hopefully he will be not only out of fucking business for good, suit up the yin-yang, and hopefully wind up in prison. That's how I feel. When I first heard about it, I said to my mom, you could ask her, you know, figuratively speaking. And she said, how do you think that happened? I'm like, I don't know, Mama. You know, he went sailing through a stop sign? That doesn't make sense. Perhaps it's a medical emergency. No. It's definitely, I don't think it was a medical emergency. It's highly unlikely. It very likely could be mechanical error, seeing that the goddamn vehicle failed inspection last month and was still on the fucking road. Sick. Sick. And seeing as she said when, you know, the last text she ever did probably was to a friend in the outside world, I have a bad feeling about this. The engine is so loud, it's sickening, it's deafening. It's looking more and more like it was mechanical error, and there was nothing, the limo driver, he's not experienced with it, so he couldn't slow it down to avoid maybe some deaths or something. He died too. They all dead. It's so sickening that a company to cut corners would just put, you know, these deadly vehicles that are created, you know. And they were asking, like, who oversees that when they cut a regular vehicle in half and put this big partition in the middle, and who ensures that it's safe? I don't know, I'm just saying, 4 times the national average over the past couple of years, this prestige limo had 4 limos taken out of service because they failed inspection. Now, how the fuck did this fail inspection last month and then it's on the road now? I don't know. We have to wait for the investigation, but I did want to let you guys know, to continue what I was saying before, because I just watched Inside Edition now before I just see the news, and maybe more will even come out on World News Tonight, that it was her birthday. She just got married recently. And apparently someone else on board, a friend or something, had just got married like 3 weeks ago. I think this one got married 14 weeks ago or something, so a few months ago, I don't know. And you can't quote me on that, but in any case, recently married, another couple recently married. It showed all these couples. They were all on board. They're celebrating. They were just apparently at her wedding to the love of her life. They were just at her wedding recently. All these people that are now dead in this limbo because they were celebrating her birthday. Again, one moment laughing and drinking and having a grand old time, and then next you're fucking caught up in the middle of a horror story that ends in your death. And just to add to what I said in the other video, a near disaster, potential tragedy, was averted today in Woburn, Massachusetts, and if it had not been averted, it was due to the same thing: human error, overpressurization of gas. Somebody overpressurized the gas, but luckily it was caught within minutes. Otherwise, there could have easily been another tragedy, similar or the same or worse or whatever, since it's the same thing as the Merrimack Valley tragedy disaster of last month, where many people were injured. Lionel Rondon lost his life to a freak chimney exploding and crushing his car in a friend's next door's driveway. It was the same thing, just happened this morning. Human error, overpressurization person, and this wasn't a contractor, it was someone they said was overseeing, you know, and I've been doing it for many, like 20, long time, and he was who did it. So I'm not sure how that works either. I know the unions, it's a national grid lockout everywhere, okay, all across Massachusetts, where they're negotiating. In the meantime, they're having independent contractors rather than seasoned professionals do the work. And the seasoned professionals want to continue working. I watched a little bit of the links Keith gave me when this all went down, the Merrimack Valley Disaster. But they're being locked out and they're being replaced by far less experienced workers, you know. But in this instance, it wasn't one of those far less experienced contractors. It was somebody who's been overseeing this type of stuff for a long time, and he did it. That's what the news said. Or she did it. Human error. But it was the same fucking thing that just caused that whole disaster in Merrimack Valley happened this morning in Woburn. The only difference is it was overpressurization, is it was noticed and caught in time. So the end result is 1,200 people, they had to turn the gas off immediately, of course, and they have to go now home to home, just like in Merrimack Valley, and turn it back on, and after inspecting, whatnot, make sure everything's fine. People are, of course, terrified, and they're without heat or able to cook with a gas stove, you know, for the night. Again, people are still not in their home. People, all kinds of crap still going on in Merrimack Valley, and now this happens here in Woburn. All I have to say is shrug my shoulders. I mean, I told Kurt when this all went down that I was scared. I told him, I'm like, if it could happen in Merrimack Valley, it could happen anywhere based on what you're telling me. If it's a national grid lockout, it's not just Columbia Gas, it's all of them. It's the gas company, like there's what we have here, you know? And now it just could have happened in Woburn this morning. same damn thing, routine maintenance, and they overpressurized the gas. Luckily, it was caught within minutes. Otherwise, brand new disaster, back to back with the Merrimack Valley disaster that people are still reeling from and not over, and it's still affecting people, you know? I mean, in that area. Unreal, Omalu. Unfucking believable. Bye.